I found it by accident. I was digging through a huge pile of Freedom of Information Act releases files I wasn't even supposed to be looking at. Most of it was just legal junk, the kind of stuff lawyers forget about the second a trial ends. Motions, transcripts, exhibits that never saw the light of day. But buried deep inside a stack of scanned PDFs from a 2009 murder trial, there was a single-page police memo with a blurry photo attached. The memo itself was short, almost casual. It read, "Unclaimed note discovered on defense table after recess. No fingerprints. No witness claims ownership." That alone was weird enough to make me pause. But it was the photograph that made my stomach absolutely drop. It showed a scrap of notebook paper, torn unevenly at the top, like someone had ripped it out in a rush. The handwriting was messy, hurried, like it was written in the dark. It said, "I didn't kill her, but I know who will kill the next one." No signature, no initials, nothing. Just that one chilling sentence, left on the very table where the defendant had been sitting just minutes before. The trial was for the murder of a local college student. It was a brutal case, the kind that sticks with the community and leaves people angry for years. The defendant swore up and down that he was innocent, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. His fingerprints, his DNA, even his car was spotted near the scene. The jury convicted him without much deliberation. But that note, nobody ever explained it. The judge called it a prank. The prosecutor dismissed it as a desperate stunt. And the defense team argued it was proof someone was trying to frame their client. But here's the strangest part. The note was never introduced as evidence. It wasn't even mentioned in open court. It was logged, photographed, and then quietly sealed away and forgotten. Until I stumbled upon it 15 years later. The police memo was clear. They found no fingerprints, and no witnesses saw anyone leave the note. The bailiff insisted the table was empty when the recess began. The defense attorney swore the note wasn't there when she stood up to leave the courtroom. This means someone had to have placed it there in what was essentially an empty courtroom, surrounded by officers and court staff. And they did it in a room full of people who would have recognized them instantly. That part bothered me, but what I discovered next was so much worse. On the exact anniversary of the conviction 1 year later, to the day a woman went missing 2 counties over. At first glance, her case had no connection to the original murder trial. Different victim profile, different town, entirely different circumstances, but the date matched. Down to the hour. The next year, it happened again. Another woman disappeared. Same date, same time. And again, no obvious connection to the previous cases. At first, I told myself it was a coincidence. Patterns can form by pure chance. People go missing all the time. But then I found the 3rd case, and the 4th, and then the 5th. Some were missing persons cases, some were confirmed murders, and some weren't even discovered until weeks later. But every single one of them happened on the anniversary of the day that guilty verdict was read. The most disturbing thing was how all these cases were classified. They weren't treated as serial killings. They weren't linked in any way. They were just random, isolated tragedies scattered across the state, connected only by a time stamp that nobody was paying attention to. I decided to try and contact the original defense attorney. She was hesitant to talk at first, but when I explained what I was asking about, her voice went quiet. She told me the defendant had mentioned something strange during their initial meetings. He claimed he'd received some kind of warning a week before the murder ever happened. A warning he never fully explained to her. He told her someone had slipped a note under his apartment door. He said it didn't make any sense at the time, so he threw it away. But then he said something else to her, something that must have sounded like pure nonsense back then. He said, If they want a death every year, they'll get one. At the time, it sounded like the desperate rambling of a man terrified of spending his life in prison. But now, looking at this string of anniversary deaths, it feels less like rambling and more like he knew a pattern was about to begin. I spent days, weeks, cross-referencing everything. Victim names, dates, locations, nothing lined up. There were no shared workplaces, no mutual friends, no geographic overlap whatsoever. It seemed like whoever was choosing these victims was working off a list that was completely invisible. Then I noticed something, a small detail I'd overlooked. Every single anniversary death occurred in a county where one of the original trial jurors lived. It wasn't the same juror each year. It wasn't in any predictable order. It was just a slow, methodical orbit around the 12 people who had sealed the defendant's fate. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't a message for the courts or the police. It was a message for the jurors, a chilling reminder that the case didn't end for them when they declared him guilty. Last night I checked the date of the next anniversary. It's just a few months away. I found out that one of the remaining jurors still lives in state. Her name and address are public record. I don't know if she has any idea. I don't know if anyone has ever warned her. I tried calling her earlier today, but the call went straight to voicemail. And then this morning, something happened that made my blood run cold. When I went back to the FOIA file on my laptop, a new document had been attached to the end of the digital string. There was no description, no metadata, nothing to indicate where it came from. It was just an image, another note. The same rushed handwriting, the same torn piece of paper. It said, "You're too early. Wait for the date." There was no timestamp on the upload. No server record showing who added it or how. It just appeared. But it was the last line of the note that has kept me awake ever since. Don't try to stop it. You only watch.